because I think a lot of why we overtrade is fear, and it's very easy when you're overtrading to see a candle suddenly go the wrong way, and you panic and you think, oh my God, I've got this all wrong, and you get out of the trade, and then you watch it go back exactly how you thought it was going to go, and you have to kind of recognize that the way the candles move is like the sea. It's constantly ebbing and flowing, and you just have to trust that you've made the right call, I guess. But that's where your stop loss comes in. It's you always use a stop loss, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially, if you don't have a stop loss, you have unlimited risk, or the amount of your account at risk in practice. However, there are some that would argue that that's always the case, depending on how solvent your broker is. But yeah,
True.
but yeah, yeah. So there are many, many, many more questions here, Nicola. I'm trying to hit the ones that are consistently, repeated, the theme. So have you back tested your system for a longer period? Asks Hugo.
I've done it from the first date that Forex Tester will let me, all the way to present day, and I've done it several times on the same pair, on different pairs. Yeah, I love testing. I think I mean, God, Walter, you have so much good advice, but that was a real gem for me, particularly in the early days, because when I was trading before, I mean, I started trading at university, and we did some really crazy stuff, like, God, it's actually really embarrassing to say this, but like we tried to dream about what the trades we're going to do, and place our trades based on our dreams, and all this kind of crazy stuff. Anyway, but I really wish I'd had Forex Tester back then, because I think I would have been a much better trader.
That's interesting. Oh, so that's really interesting. I think you can sort of see your personality come through when you mention things like that about, being an optimist and then, being very emotional, and then actually basically, like lucid dreaming your trades or something like that. That's pretty
Oh yeah,
cool.
I mean, God, I'll try anything, but again, this is what I'm saying about growing up. You learn your lessons.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, some people are wondering about your daily routine and which hours you trade. I'm presuming that most of your trades are taken during the European market, and some of course the overlap with the New York market. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I look at the charts when I wake up in the morning, which is about 7 a.m. European time. Then I'm busy getting my daughter ready for school, so I always hate it because I rush home from dropping her off at school, and I get back after London has started, and there's quite a gap there, and I hate that, because sometimes things can really turn against you. And then I look again during New York, and I look again just after dinner at around 7, and then I look again when New York closes at 11. So I pretty much only missed my 3 a.m. candle.
One of the excellent things about trading the 4-hour charts is that generally speaking, you're probably going to miss only one. Yeah, which is great, obviously. Would you believe, Omar wants to know if you believe if you followed and practiced one system very well, would 10% monthly be possible?
Sure.
I think I know what Nicola's going to say, yeah.
No, sure. I mean, I really believe anything's possible, and I mean, why not aim for higher than that? I mean, it's achievable. I'm sure it is.
Exactly. What is your stop loss size on a 4-hour? Asks Reynold.
Okay, it's all in the document that you'll be getting. I place my stop losses on the last pivot, price pivot. So that obviously can vary, but it's usually between 75 to 125 pips.
Got it.
And it
Okay.
depends on the pair as well, obviously. But
Yeah, how volatile the pair is, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, John from the psychology course says, I've got a daily routine of visualizing my goals and very calmly preparing myself for the day. That makes a noticeable difference. It's sort of controlled euphoria, if that makes any sense. Plus,
Yeah.
plus the subliminal audio track is a daily habit. So that's basically what
Oh,
John's
yeah.
taken out of the course. Yeah.
It's great. I love it, and I really love the DVD. At the beginning, I listened to the MP3 tracks that Walter gave out. I was listening to them all the time, but I realized that I'm actually a really visual person. I think with images, I mean, it's like when I was revising at school, you know, I have to have an image in my head to remember anything. So I thought I would try the DVD, and I absolutely love it. And I've watched it so many times, and I'm still not bored of it, because every time I look at it, I I just see different stuff, and it touches different parts of me, and I always finish it feeling $1,000,000, really.
That's great. I find it's a great way to go to sleep. Like when you if you do it you know if you do it a couple times.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah. And here's a great question from Brett. I think Brett had another question before, but this one's a good one, which is, you have a number of potential trades, Nicola, in front of you, and let's just say that you decide to pick one, whether or not that's true. How do you choose which one? What differentiates them for you?
Huh. That probably is a bit of gut instinct. I mean, I do like, but one of the things on my trade, there are many different different ways you can enter a trade on the system I use, but I do like to look at the other time frames that, like if I'm trading the 4-hour chart, I'll look at the daily to see how strong the trend is, because I'm a trend follower, and I will then go back to my 4-hour chart and see if that signal is a continuation of the trend or counter trend, and I will always prefer a continuation of a trend signal to a counter trend, because when I test it, it's just so much, the win rate is so much higher. And I will also look for momentum. I'll look at the type of candles that we're dealing with, because maybe technically they fulfill my criteria, but then my gut may just kick in and say, hang on, that candle looks a bit weak. I have this weird thing where I look at the charts and I kind of feel like I'm almost listening to music or speaking a language, like, and I can't really explain that, but I think it might be with the way I think. But if that particular chart talks to me in a way that a different chart doesn't, then I will take that trade. And I'm sorry for the people out there that really don't think like that, but that's kind of just the way I think, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way of putting it. I think what I would add to this is that when I first started trading, my instincts were always wrong. And over the years, what's happened is I've actually been able to get to the point where I think it's something similar to what you're talking about. Like I'll immediately know when I see a chart whether or not I want to, converse with it, so to speak. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's what you're saying, but that's how
Yeah, I
I
think
would
it
say
is.
it.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, so it's kind of and just to some of that, guys, could just be having so much experience with the charts, just seeing so many charts and having them filed away, deep in the crevices of your mind. So it's not, I don't think it's an unattainable thing. You may not look at it exactly like Nicola just said, like if you're more analytical, but it's still you know, it's still basically it's like it's almost like a gut feel when you see the chart.
You know, one thing I realized I haven't said is that I really believe that you have to, that, oh God, how do I say this? It's so important to believe in yourself, because you can test and test and test, but when you're looking at those candles and you're trying to choose between two charts, if you're listening to the pessimist in your head, you're going to make the wrong decision. It's really important to have, I guess, faith in your own judgment. You know, I guess I did already say that, but